Welcome to SheepConnect SA's 10-minute talk on remote monitoring systems for water tanks. I'm Bart Dessart, part of the SheepConnect SA team, and today our speaker is Shane Oster from Alpha Group Consulting. Over to you, Shane.
Okay, thanks for joining us today for the brief talk about tank monitoring systems. Alpha Group Consulting's been in this space for a number of years now. We've got quite a few systems around the place. So we're in the era of agriculture now where connectivity is the next agricultural revolution. People are utilising these systems and this form of technology a lot, and with tank level sensors, people in particular focus on the labour savings from not having to go and check tanks and the travel savings and wear and tear on machinery. But the reality is that what people really come back to after owning the equipment is the peace of mind. It's not the potential stock losses and that sort of things. It's a peace of mind knowing that their stock have got water and that the tank's all up to scratch and full of water. Essentially, when it comes to tank level monitoring, we've got sort of two types of systems which you can break it down to. One is just a plain tank level sensor where it just measures the height of the water in the tank. And the other one is a tank system where you start introducing some of the add-ons like flow meters and salinity sensors and rain gauges and that sort of thing. So the premise of the systems are that it'll connect to the internet one way or another, generally via Cat M1 or 4G phone service, and it'll put that data onto the internet, and then every morning you'll get a text message telling you how much water's in the tank and any other stats from sensors you've got connected. So this is a standard tank level sensor. Most sensors on the market will either measure tank level via water level, which is this one here. You can see this is a transducer here, which basically sits on the bottom of the tank and measures the depth of the water, and a solar panel to charge the device and the telemetry unit on the back. Some systems use ultrasonic form of measuring the water, which is basically measuring from the surface down. The result of both of them is ultimately the same. So this is a standard tank level sensor installed, 4 tech screws and a small hole in the top of the tank to insert your transducer and you're away. It takes about 2 minutes to install. It starts getting a little bit more complicated when you want to start having add-ons. So we can add things such as flow meters, rain gauges, pressure gauges, and salinity. One of the things which I think is important when you're purchasing the unit is just to make sure you've got the ability to scale up what you want to read. So a lot of people think that they may only need to have tank level, but in time they realise the importance of other things, and you want to make sure your system's got the capacity to do that. Generally speaking, I think that tank level sensors by themselves are great for satellite tanks, but realistically on your main header tank is really where you want to be having a system with flow meters. For me, flow data is the absolute game changer, and I go back to it every day of the week. I think it's the best system. So in this scenario, we'll measure the flow coming into the tank, which allows you to monitor the health of your bore or solar pump. We'll report each morning the maximum flow rate. So that should be pretty consistent over time. With solar pumps, it's no point reporting minimum because they'll be zero overnight. And then we have a flow meter on the outlet, which allows us to get some leak detection. So for me, that's just absolutely critical information. And that then allows you to monitor the health of your whole pipeline system from that flow meter on the outlet of your tank. Over time, the way that we've viewed the data has changed quite a bit. Previously, we used to use our PCs a lot. These days, everything's been done on a phone or an iPad. And so the systems that we use have adapted accordingly. So now we utilise a new app, which is the Wildlife Farm Monitoring app, and that gives us the ability to monitor the details of our systems across a wide area, and then you can also, there's a huge amount of flexibility within the app to be able to look at our flow data and look at individual systems. But this is a great way to get a snapshot across 10 or a dozen sites to make sure that you've got water in all of your sites. A lot of people worry about trusting technology and knowing whether it's working. For us, the cornerstone of the product is the daily text message, which is obviously a great way to deliver information, but it's also a fantastic proof of life. So what I mean by that is every morning at about 7 o'clock, you'll get a text message to tell you how much water is in the tank. If that unit is not uploading for some reason, instead of providing data, it'll provide a dash, so you know the unit's is offline. And if the sensor has failed, it'll either read, a negative figure, or it will read a figure beyond the measuring depth. So if we look at this system here, we can see this one here is reporting 0.9, which is telling us that we've got a problem with that sensor. The normal reading depth is about 3.5 meters on the sensors we use, and most tanks are only about sort of 2 meters deep. So if the sensor fails and it goes beyond the maximum reading depth of the tank, so it's reading 3.5, we know that we've got a failed sensor as well. So the daily messages are a great way of monitoring a healthier system. If you're just waiting for a low level alert, or it may never come if the system is offline. So that's a pretty quick wrap up on what we can achieve with tank level sensors. They're very cost effective these days. Most systems you can get for under $1,500, and it saves a lot of heartache, a lot of running around, and a lot of lost productivity with stock going without water.
Thanks, Shane, for sharing your experience and expertise with us today.